Hey, welcome to our podcast, Figuring It Out Together.
We're a group of young women here to give us and other young people a voice.
So let's get real and talk about issues like mental health, body image, relationships, and life experiences.
To talk and advocate on issues that not only affect us now, but in the future.
Welcome back to Figuring It Out Together. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about body image. My name's Anna, and joining me today is Leanne, Sienna, and Abia. To start us off today, the question is, what is body image? Leanne?
I think body image is how you see yourself and how you value your own aesthetics or your body, really, yeah. Abia, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's how you view yourself, but not only physically, but mentally as well. Like your thoughts and your ideas and
So true.
yeah, more of like the internal stuff, not just the physical.
Is body image a greater thing for younger people, do we feel like? Do we see it more as something that you can grow out of, I guess, when you get older and it takes time to learn?
Honestly, I think, especially during teenage, it's a bigger thing than it is when you get older. Well, I'm assuming. Especially because we are so exposed to TV shows and movies and societal standards that expect us to meet this certain expectation. It hits us more, especially at adolescent ages, because we really just care about others' opinions more, I think. Like, we just feel the need to be validated by other people. And I think that even comes from checking every day how many likes you get on a post, or just asking people, oh, is this a good outfit? Do I look good in this? I think we've always just needed that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes a problem when you're basing your own view of yourself on what others think of you.
Yeah, and that creates a very bad mental health and not a good way to lead life. And social media does seem to have a huge role in this. How do you see it in everyday life, Abia?
I think it's natural for young people to, be really conscious about their body image and themselves, especially like during that age, because they are like exposed to, social media, TV shows, movies, and, honestly, like the list goes on and on.
Yeah, to those these expected ways to look when it's really so like unrealistic.
Yeah, and usually you don't even realize that it's affecting you.
Yeah, I saw it.
Subtle things, especially on social media, whether you see I know young girls who are always comparing themselves to Instagram influencers who have like a thigh gap, or Instagram influencers who have like an amazing, am I allowed to say butt? I'm going to say butt. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that it's so normalized, like when it actually shouldn't be, like if you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
But I also feel bad for those influencers out there who now have to keep up and maintain that image.
That's so true.
Like if they have one slip up, the whole social media is like, oh my gosh, either she's always photoshopping her pictures, or oh my gosh, that's ugly, that's this. And then their own mental health is just going.
Yeah. I don't think people realize that they're human too, and even they have body image issues. And it's not just something that a certain amount of people face. Everybody faces body image issues, especially in a world like this where like skinny bodies and absolutely 0.5% body fat is praised and celebrated. It's not surprising that we don't feel accepted in society.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok today of a girl saying, oh, I've always looked up to like Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner and how their bodies are. And because like Kendall Jenner's a model, so you can see her measurements online, which seems a bit off, but you can see all her measurements online. And she compared it to hers, and she's like got a smaller waist than her, but she's like, why don't I look like her?
Yeah.
Why? And in the comments is like, it's all modeling. It's like either contouring or the way the photo looks, like lighting. So just the comparison, like comparing yourself can be so toxic.
It is, yeah. And how do you think that Instagram especially has like influenced the way young people see their bodies? Like, for example, especially your feeds online. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen like every time you scroll through Facebook or Instagram or something, it really depends on what you put on there. So whoever you follow or whoever you like photos of, that's what you get in your feed. And I've realized that if you change that, you can change your own perception of body image and you can change your own expectations of how you should look. Because the only reason you're seeing all these photos is because you're liking them and you're following these people that are making you feel bad about yourself. So I think it's good to understand that if you change your perspectives and your mentalities, that can change a lot in your body image issues.
Yeah, and then I think society obviously plays like a major role as well. But maybe like one culture has their own, societal norms, and then you look at this other culture and it's like completely different.
Yeah, one culture is seeing always you have to be skinny no matter what. And the other one's like, it's okay, or skin color. You need to be more fair. And then you've got a whole nother one, it's like everyone's trying to tan. So then
Yeah,
it can
exactly.
be darker.
Or everybody's trying to be really curvy, and the exact opposite, which is just like breadstick straight.
Yeah, you can never win
Yeah.
in society.
Yeah, and it's not always about the physical thing. Like sometimes it can be, I don't know, maybe for example, you have like this society where people like girls who are like quiet, or like shy and
Yeah.
not too, like outspoken. And then you have this completely opposite society where they value more like people who are like more bold and confident and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess seeing all that, it kind of makes you wonder what impact does body image have on yourself? Like, how does that influence your own mentality? Because I think that it's really bad because it really affects the way you see yourself, and I think that also affects the amount of respect you hold for yourself as well.
Yeah, and it also depends on like either like we keep saying society, but what that close knit area you live in, like your own family or school. I can tell you in school, everyone had straight hair and I was the only one with curly hair. So I thought to be beautiful, you needed straight hair. And when I'd straighten my hair, I'd feel so much more confident in myself. I'd be like taking so many pictures because I felt amazing. But really, my curly hair is gorgeous. And at the same time, it's like how you see, like how you've seen growing up, what you see around you.
Yeah, I actually have a question about that, Anna. Like, we see people changing the way they look or getting lip fillers or getting plastic surgery or anything to change the way they look. Would we say that's because of, I think the question is, would we say that's because of insecurity or just because they want to feel confident? Because at what point would it change from body image issues to, I just want to look good?
I think from that insecurity, you're seeking acceptance, and from that acceptance, you get confidence.
Yeah.
So other people going, wow, your nose looks great. Your lips look perfect. Just that word perfect. You look perfect. That's the perfect nose. A small little like nose. That's what people are like seeking. And then they gain the confidence through that and they think life will just excel after that. When really it won't, because you have no self-love there. You just changed your whole look. You might end up regretting it and be like, damn, I miss who I truly look like. I look in the mirror and now I don't even know who I look like anymore.
Yeah, I'd actually seen a video of this woman. She was playing out a skit where she had power to shapeshift and she had the ability to like morph into different body types. And you see her like thinning her nose, sucking in her, like pulling in her waist and like bringing out her butt and like making her look curvy and skinny at the same time. And she keeps changing and changing and changing to the point where the final result is this absolutely morbid human being that looks like she's been starved to death and she's gone through so much pain and suffering. And she realizes that it's not worth it if even if you keep trying to conform to societal standards, it's going to keep changing. And no matter how much you change yourself, you're never going to experience that self-love that you deserve.
Yeah, and I
Exactly.
feel like on the topic of media, filters, like beauty filters, also play a big role. Like, you hardly see people post pictures of themselves without an actual Snapchat filter.
Or an airbrush.
On airbrushed, yeah. Or like in what's it called again? Golden hour, in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So always looking for that perfect look before showing it to to the world.
That's very true.
I feel like also like the industry itself, they only like if you go to stores, I can't name any stores. Well, we shouldn't be naming and shaming, but yes, if you go to a store, any
Mainstream
store,
stores, yeah.
yeah, mainstream stores, they have like a one size fits all, and that one size can like, it's just not. It really diminishes your like confidence in your body because you're like, whoa, this fits
If we don't
so
fit
many
that
people.
one size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then what am
Exactly.
I doing wrong?
But I also think we need to like acknowledge the fact that there are some like clothing lines and fashion brands that are like being more accepting of curvy models. Like there are
But it
a
took
couple.
so long.
I know. And we're still only making progress, and there's still so many, like the majority of mainstream stores that are still using the same models that look nothing like society.
Yeah, but then again, it's the question is us as consumers and like watching it, we like to see that stick thin like look on the runway. I feel like if you changed it, that'd be like, then there's nothing to look at. We've been so like compelled and what's the word? Trained to
Yeah.
only accept that. So if we saw something else, we'd be disinterested.
That's very true. I'm sure that now if we look at something else that doesn't look like the norm, we'd be a bit disgusted or shocked even.
Yeah.
And then moving into like the topic of like friendships, what would you say are like some signs when you can see your friend or like someone in your community struggling with body image?
I feel like the biggest thing is people just stop eating. Like no one's eating, and I can't sit here and act like it's not me because I do this as well. Like I miss a meal, I do that or this, and I'm like, I'm just not going to eat, and it's really bad. But in the moment, you're like, oh, this one meal that I'm missing is not going to do anything. But then you just end up eating a lot of food afterwards. Like you eat so much afterwards because you just starved yourself for that long. And there's so many more healthy ways that people need to like either stop this whole mentality of being skinny or guide kids into like, okay, you want to achieve something without being so unhealthy, we'll help you. We'll start eating good food. We'll start like doing at home exercises stuff, like just controlled stuff that isn't going to really deteriorate a person's health in the long run.
Exactly. Like exercise is good, but not to the point where you're starving yourself. That's unhealthy exercise. Even like in school, I'm in my final year of school, so I'm seeing as girls especially like saying, oh, I need to start getting on a diet regimen before formal. Oh, I need to start losing some weight so I can fit into like a size 8 dress. Like, and they're putting all these crazy expectations on themselves when they really should be working on accepting themselves and ignoring societal standards and expectations.
Yeah, and then I think it's also like with which intention you're exercising. Like if you're just exercising, just to stay fit, maybe get like a bit flexible, then that's fine. But then if you're exercising because you're so focused on this goal of getting like the ideal body shape, then that's kind of like a toxic mentality.
And I think that's where the lines kind of become blurred, isn't it, Abia? Because we've kind of, as a society, we've kind of blurred the line between skinny and fit.
Healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Healthy. I think automatically when we think of healthy, we think skinny, thigh gap, really, yeah, like 2% body fat. When in reality,
Yeah.
it just means that you're healthy just means taking care of yourself and making sure that you're taking care of your body. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to lose weight.
But my question is, because I see like things on Instagram that say things to not say like say to someone, like don't ask someone if they're eating or like stuff like that. Have you seen that where they go like don't ask someone if they have an issue with food or stuff? Like what do you do with friends who like you see are not eating, they're just suppressing themselves?
Well, I think it depends on the situation because I have friends that don't eat at school and I don't eat at school either. And that's not because we're trying to skip a meal, but generally, majority of the time with my friends, it's because we just don't have the time because we're probably stressing about studying or something for a SAC or something. So it's not necessarily because we're trying to skip a meal. It's just because that's not the priority in our brain because we're just trying to get schoolwork done. But I think if you can see with your friends, especially if it is a close friend, that she's not looking the greatest and she's looking a bit ill, I think it wouldn't hurt to just pull her aside or pull him aside and say, hey, you doing okay? Are you taking care of yourself? And I don't think it should be a thing where we kind of accuse them of like having eating disorders or call them out for having body image issues. I think it's just like, in a sensitive manner, just ask them, hey, you doing okay? You taking care of yourself? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just checking up on someone like just like that can make the biggest difference.
That's so true. Even if it's just a, hey, how are you? Just like to make sure that they're actually doing fine and they're not in a bad mental position. That in itself could change their mentality.
But at the same time, I feel like people very like can easily give white lies. And if something does end up happening, I don't think you can take on that burden and that guilt of thinking, oh, I saw all of this unravel and I didn't do anything. When you did, that person just wasn't accepting your help. And they're on, like, you just couldn't do anything.
Exactly, yeah. Also, another thing I think we need to understand is only ask them if you're willing to take on that burden. Like, don't ask them and be prepared if they say, no, I'm not okay. You need to be there for them. Like, don't ask them just for courtesy. You need to make sure that you're available to them and you're actually helping them.
So I was wondering if any of you guys have like your own personal experiences with body image, because with me, especially when I was like younger, not now, people in my family, like my aunties and my uncles, whenever we used to visit, used to be like, oh, you're so skinny, don't you like eat anything? You look weak. And I'm not weak, like I'm skinny, but I'm not weak. And then they're like, you look weak, you should like eat more. And yeah, that word, just weak, like I don't know why people associate skinny with being weak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, can I just add on to that? I don't know if this is an ethnic parents thing, but I found that something that's common with a lot of ethnic parents is that the first time you see them or you see like relatives, they either say you've gained some weight or you've lost some weight. They never say you look nice.
Yeah, and they either always
the other.
And then they either say, oh, like in their language. It's always in their language. They'll say, oh, you've gotten darker, or you've gotten like fairer.
Exactly.
And then you've lost weight. Are you not eating any food?
I used to actually struggle. I used to actually struggle with that skincare thing because I'm Pakistani and I was never like ashamed of my culture or anything. Like I love my culture. And even now, like I'm like, I don't know, one of the most cultured people you'll meet. But anyway, because in Pakistan, a lot of people are like fair, and like even the actresses, they're like fair. And I think it was around like 7th grade where I was like, why is my my skin color darker than like other people? Because even my other friends who are like Pakistani and my cousins, their skin tone is like lighter than mine's. So, and then I think that relates back to the self love and self acceptance thing which we had.
And just for the audience, you can't see, Abiya's like pretty light. She has a beautiful skin tone.
No, it's because the light is like the light is like shining from my window, so it just looks like that. But
yeah, the societal pressures that people put on individuals is crazy. I've seen examples in individuals that I'm close with who have different physiques. But if one of them has a muffin, they're praised because they're eating well, whereas the other is shamed because she's eating junk food. And that wasn't because of the food that they were eating, but rather because the way they looked, and they were judging people's diet regimens based on that physique, which is crazy to me because when you look at a person, you shouldn't be seeing their body first. You should be listening to them and not talking to them and getting to know their personality.
With that, it's kind of those comments that scare people into like, you know, if someone is in a group of people where they're either like smaller or they're bigger, they won't like even mention food just because they don't want to have a kind of comment like that thrown at them. So, you know, and it's scary because it's like that person could really be struggling and you wouldn't even know. And then a flyaway comment like that could be really damaging.
Yeah, Sienna, like something like, "Oh, you're eating that today," or like some snarky comment about what you're eating or what you're choosing to have.
And the person might not even realize how damaging what they're saying is, or even like just because I mean, not in my own personal experience, but I've heard stories. And I've had people in my life where, you know, they've been out with friends and the conversation about food is coming up and they get like really, really panicky because they don't know how to deal with it and how to respond and how to act like they're okay in that situation because no one knows. So, you know, those flyaway comments and like just treating it like it's nothing can be really, really damaging and you wouldn't even know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're comments that are just like so localized now. Like not just about like even like being short. Every day you'll get at least one comment be like, "Oh my gosh, you are so short."
Gosh, me too.
And you just have to take it. You just sit there and take it and go. And you come at a point people don't expect you to actually be hurt by these things. They're just like, "Oh, she's short. It's a fact. She should be able to take it." And I'm like, it's not my fault.
Yeah, no, the short thing is yeah, I 100% get that. I am literally the shortest person I think I'll ever know. And now even my younger brother is like getting taller than me, so I'm not dealing with it. But it's like it seems like a silly thing, but like when it's like every single day and it's the only thing some people know about you, it's you know, and then and like with body image, like there's so many different like aspects of your body that people focus on when thinking of like things that they deal with. And like being short, it's not like a burden as much as other things may be, but it's just something that keeps coming up. Or
yeah,
even
it's something that just
like being too tall, like it goes both ways.
So Anna and Sienna, how would you say like we should celebrate that shortness then, or like celebrate our bodies? Just to like
honestly, I hit people with the, "Oh, I make up with it with my huge personality." I just hit them back with something.
Yeah,
that's pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, well, I prefer being shorter. Like, I'm just like, you know, I like make excuses for it. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm actually comfortable. So, and then,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really great tip. I think other ways we can celebrate our bodies could also be just to like, I don't know, get dressed up once in a while and just stand in front of the mirror and just really like accept the way you look. Be like, "Wow, you look amazing today. You look amazing in that dress." Just kind of give yourself positive feedback.
That's like the best way.
Even just appreciate taking care of your body and just appreciating it like for what it is.
Exactly, because we can't go looking around the entire world for validation or acceptance. It's got to start with us. And if we're confident in our own bodies, then we won't have to rely on other people's opinions.
exactly. I couldn't have said it better. Like, we need to start with ourselves. Like, and that goes back to like we were talking about self-love, like especially with body image and how, you know, how you perceive yourself is how others will perceive you. So, you know, if you take care of yourself and if you love yourself and if you come to accept yourself, so will everyone else. So just before we finish off, please remember that you can seek help from places like the Butterfly Foundation, Headspace, and Beyond Blue. But thank you so much for tuning in today and listening to our podcast. We hope you can see us in our next episode.
Thanks for listening. Hope we inspired you. Can't wait for the next one. This podcast is proudly supported by
Baseline for Young People and the City of Whittlesea.